YouTube channel. And today I am going to be showing you guys how to make paint. This is not watercolor paint, this is regular paint. So what the ingredients you're going to need is a plastic cup, a mixing tool. I am using a straw because it'd be easier to mix it. A tablespoon, some baking powder, a plastic container, some food coloring, and some vinegar. All technically that you guys are going to need, and also you're going to need a fridge because you're going to need to put the paint in for a day. So now you're going to take your plastic cup, you're going to take this plastic cup, and you're going to get your baking powder. I would recommend doing baking powder and not baking soda because baking powder works fine for me. But if you try and use the paint without putting it in the fridge, as soon as you put the paint onto the paper, it's going to just stick automatically. So it's going to basically be like regular stuff. So you're going to get 4 tablespoons of baking powder, and you might have to like put it on there. You're going to take 4 tablespoons. I have no clue why you have got to put this many, but I looked it up online, and this is what they told me to do. Now what you're going to do is they told me to add 2 tablespoons of vinegar. Now, when you do the 2 tablespoons of vinegar, it will fizz. Now, I know that it's going to fizz, but there's no reason why you guys should get panicked because it's totally fine if the vinegar fizzes in the baking powder because it's supposed to be like that. So now, I am going to do 2 tablespoons of vinegar. And as you guys can see, it is starting to fizz up. The fizzing is fine because it's supposed to do that, because that means that it's working. You do 2 tablespoons of vinegar, and then you wait till the fizzing stops. When the fizzing stops, you are going... When the fizzing stops, this is optional. You don't have to do this, but I personally want to do this because I don't see paint without color. The only place that you could ever get white paint at that could fit on, and you could see it, would be black paper. But as you guys can see, it is fizzing up pretty good. And today I have red, yellow, green, and blue. I am personally going to use blue today because I am making this for a school science experiment, and I am doing a Genius Hour project. If you don't know what those are, you get to choose something that you want to learn about all year, anything you want to learn about, and then you research about it, and you actually bring in an experiment about it. I did a poster about it, but I don't have it here today because it's at school. But I am going to be doing an experiment because I am going to be presenting this tomorrow. So yeah, you just wait till the fizzing stops, and if the fizzing doesn't stop, just wait till there's only tiny little drops of fizzing and then put the food coloring in because it will still work. But if you don't put it in the fridge for a day, it is going to stick to the paper and it will not be paint. So you have got to make sure that the fizzing is stopped, which it's almost stopped, and you have to put it into a fridge. Now, if you don't have a cold beverage, don't put ice cubes in it because it's going to make it more watery. I recommend either putting it in something cold or somewhere that is cold because then it would get the more temperature to actually solid up as paint. Now, you might have to take it out from time to time to mix it, but I wouldn't recommend mixing it too much because if you do that, then the paint, it will not work. And you cannot leave it into the fridge longer than a day because then it will just freeze solid and then it won't be paint. It's happened to me before. Alright? So I'm going to now pour you need 5 to 10 drops of food coloring. I know that seems like a lot, but it's not really. So I'm just going to put 2 because I want to see how this blue is going to turn out. Okay, so as you guys can see, I have the blue food coloring there, and I already put it in. You guys can get any kind of ingredients. It just has to be baking powder, vinegar, and food coloring. You don't have to add food coloring, but I don't. So I'm going to take my plastic straw of my mixing tool, and I'm going to mix it. Now, it might be a little hard to mix it, but that's fine, because that means that the paint is working. Now, it might be hard to mix it at first, okay, so as you guys can see the paint. Now, it might be hard to mix it because of the baking powder because it's solid when the vinegar touches it, but that is fine. You just want to keep mixing it until you get a solid texture. Now, when you see white on the bottom, you have got to keep mixing it until you see no more white because that white is baking powder, and you want to make sure that there is no white on the bottom. So as you guys can see, it might take a minute for you guys to stir it, but that's fine because you want to get the nice texture. If there is a little tiny dot of baking soda, you don't have to worry about that. It just cannot be the whole thing in the bottom of baking soda. So as you guys can see, it is done. So now, as you guys can see, that is my paint so far. Mix it up just a couple bit more. And it's now going into the fridge. So now, I'm going to put this into a fridge for a day so then it can actually settle, because if it doesn't settle into the fridge, then it's not going to work. And if it doesn't work, then it's not going to be good. Okay, so I'm setting this in to the fridge. Alright, so I set it into the fridge for a day, and then tomorrow I will be back on YouTube to show you guys how the results went. Alright, so thank you guys so much for being here today. I love you guys so much.